This is Arcus. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Jonathan.
Arcus looks really great with his blue background. His feathers are showing up so nice and bright. And
So pretty, yes. He has so many different colors to him.
for our viewers, he's a much smaller conure than the mitered and cherry head. He's probably about half their weight. I want to remind people that they can ask questions about Arcus in the Q&A, and we'll either get to it in, out loud in voice, or one of our volunteers will answer it right there. So he's a green cheek conure, right?
Yes, he is.
So tell us a little bit about what it's like to live with him and some of his, what makes Arcus Arcus.
So I fostered him about 3 months ago or so, and he's becoming kind of a class clown personality. In the last month or so, I'm seeing his personality kind of shine through. So he usually sleeps from about 8:30 at night to 8:30 in the morning. And if about 9 o'clock or 9:30, if he hasn't seen one of his humans, he will start calling out. And as long as you peep out and say, "Hey, I'm here," or come and sit outside with him, or come sit in the living room with him, then he's good. During the day, he likes to, he just started playing with his toy, which you can see over there on the right. He likes to grab it with his foot and then bite on it a little bit. He also absolutely loves his mirror, and loves making love to the bird in the mirror, but luckily it hasn't come to an obsession yet, which we watch out for. And, throughout the day, he just is very curious and likes to look out the window and watch around and different things that are going on.
That sounds really cool. He looks like a very, attentive bird. He's certainly very interested in what we're doing right now. Does Arcus talk?
Not completely yet. However, just the other day, I really believe that I heard a definite hello out of him. So or multiple times throughout the day, I've been trying to get him to say hello, just repeating it over and over.
Oh, nice. So you've had him for about 3 months. Do you have any idea how old he is?
We think he's probably about 11 years old. We believe that his surrender got him when he was approximately 5, and they had him for about 6 years.
Got it. So he'd been in one home for a long time. It's really, you had mentioned about how his personality is starting to come out. And it's really important to, I think, to make the point that, birds form very strong and lasting bonds. And when they are moved to a new home, that it takes them a while to really come out of their shell, so to speak, and feel safe, and we start to see more and more of who they are, really even months and years. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Hey, how's his health?
As far as we know, he is completely healthy. Hasn't had any issues.
And right now he's in his cage. Does he come out, and how does he interact with people?
So he does come out. He is slightly flighted, so I've begun letting him out of his cage, and he'll go ahead. He likes to sit up on the top and crawl up and down it. Sometimes he'll do kind of a small circle flight around the room and then come back to the top of his cage. And his interactions with people, it's actually pretty hilarious, because whenever you're talking to him, he wants to be right there with you. So he'll crawl up to the highest point of his cage that he can to try and be on eye level. And it's just like you're having a one-on-one conversation and he's completely listening.
Yeah, he looked like he really likes to pay attention to what's going on. He sort of vanished from sight for a moment. Maybe a treat would lure him back up to that. Oh, there he is, kind of fluttering around. Hey, Arcus, there you are. He sounds like a really mellow guy. Do you think that he would be a good bird for new parrot owners who hadn't had a lot of experience?
I would say very possibly. I'm actually a new parrot foster, and I've had other birds before, budgies and canaries, but this is the first time I've had a parrot, and I mean, there was a small warm up period where I needed to, make sure that he was giving the right calls or what the calls meant. But he's just been so easy to work with. He seems very intelligent, like he wants to learn new tricks and do things.
There he is. Now he's back in scene. Yeah.
Yes.
He's yeah, he's very interested in everything that's going on. What I can see some wooden toys and some shreddable toys in his house. You mentioned the mirror and that it has not yet become an obsession. And we mention obsession and mirrors because it's really important with companion birds to not let them get hormonal in terms of breeding hormones, because it can be a very frustrating experience. It can actually have a lot of health issues for them. But what sorts of toys does he like?
So we're kind of getting acquainted with that right now. Not necessarily a toy, but he loves his cuddle bone. So he'll go after that. And then this kind of treehouse thing that you can see over in the camera view. He's also really begun to like to shred paper.
He likes to shred things. What are you luring him back, by the way? What is that? I had expected to see a millet stick, but it looks like a small nut or maybe a pine nut.
Yeah, it's just a sunflower seeds. He goes absolutely nuts over him, and I'm not sure if we can get him to come up to his perch and wave, but he does do a trick. He likes to wave.
He looks like he would go over to his perch for that sunflower seed.
He definitely will. I just want to get my hand out of the way here so we can see him.
Yeah. Well, he's disappeared again. So, fans of H.G. Wells might enjoy The Invisible Parrot, but his tail is so pretty, just all the colors and stuff. We mentioned conures can get kind of loud, and even the small conures can. Does he tend to be loud, or is he only, only certain times of day, or what's his noise profile?
So he has definitely quieted down over the months that I have had him. During the first month, he was pretty loud, and he wanted to make sure that his humans were around. Now he's not so loud. He will call out in the morning if he doesn't see you by a certain time. And then there's a raven or a crow that comes to the window. He'll put out his warning sign or his warning call, of course, since that's a predator to them in the wild. So, and he usually calms down pretty quickly after either the raven leaves or, if you're in the room and you're sitting there and telling him it's okay. Occasionally he'll screech out, but he's gotten really quieter over the last couple months.
So mostly it's mornings and warning calls.
Yes.
And
you said a little chattering too.
Yeah, the chattering doesn't tend to be loud, right? I mean, that's just normal.
No.
Normal stuff. Can we try to bring him back to his perch again? And don't worry about your hand being in the way of the camera, because that's only momentary. But if it gets him into view, yeah, that's great. It's just, you're such a handsome guy. We like seeing you. And
yeah, he is such a sweetie.
He is like, if I leave the perch, she's going to lure me back with a seed. I can totally see that.
Right.
So you mentioned that he is somewhat flighted, and that almost sounds like a little bit pregnant. You know what I mean? Is it that his wings are clipped, but he has some ability to fly, or that he just doesn't fly for a long ways, or?
Yes, so his wings are clipped, and we just had it done a couple weeks ago or so, if that. I wanted to have him, or we wanted to make sure he had the option where he could have some type of flight in case he needed to get up or get away, because he does have a foster sister that is a 12-pound Chihuahua, Dotson.
Right.
Luckily, the Dotson and him get along great. She has no care in the world about him until he drops a piece of food. And then she's all over that food and goes back to her bed. He really enjoys watching the dog, but we did want to have him have that flight just in case he needed to get up and get away.
That makes sense. I've got two more questions before we come to the end. And again, at that point, just any additional information you want to share will be great. One is, does he step up? didn't quite remember if you had mentioned that. And the other is, how old is he?
So
I think you
he,
said about 10.
yeah, about 11 years old or so. And in his species will normally live to be about 20 to 30 years old. So he's still a relatively young bird. And he acts spry as everything. As you can see, he's all over. And I'm sorry, what was the other question?
The other was, does he step up?
So his surrender apparently taught him how to step up onto a chopstick. During the first month that I had him, he was stepping up on my hand, he was stepping up onto my hand in order to get the treat, and then he would quickly go back over to his perch. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to recreate that, but we have been trying, and we just started implementing clicker training.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Arcus.
Thank you.